What is it really like living in Placerville in 2025? Over 10,000 of you watched my video on this subject in 2023, which is wild because Placerville only has 11,600 people living here. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it was just all you locals that watched the video. If so, thank you. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you a Placerville local watching, or are you someone thinking about making Placerville your home? Either way, by the end of this video, you're gonna have the answer to one big question. Is Placerville right for your family in 2025? So let's get stuck right into it. So here's the format. I'm gonna go over 5 pros, 5 cons, and 1 maybe that you'll have to decide, is it a pro or a con for your family? Starting right now with pro number 1, which is downtown Placerville. Now look, a lot has changed in Placerville from 2023 to today, but this one hasn't changed. Downtown Placerville is a huge pro of living in Placerville. This is a gold rush era downtown, complete with all of the old-timey mom and pop shops you would expect. And it is a great resource for our community. In fact, it has won on multiple occasions one of the best small town downtowns, and that's a mouthful, in America. Even once Benjamin Moore awarded the city a bunch of money and came in and repainted a bunch of the building facades. It is that good down there. If you're the type of person that wants to go into the oldest hardware store west of the Mississippi, Placerville Hardware, or get lost in a small town used bookstore where the aisles seem to go on forever and you feel like you'll never find your way out, but you definitely have a corner to hide in with a coffee and a good book, then the Bookery in downtown Placerville is for you. If you're looking for the best burger you've ever eaten in your life, cooked by a celebrated chef who is the head chef for the Sacramento Kings and cooked for multiple governor's balls in the capital of California, then head on over to the Old Town Grill. And the list goes on and on and on from there of the amazing places to shop and eat in downtown Placerville. You want to see a live show, great live music, go to the Green Room Social Club down there. It's just an incredible place to go and hang out and be with other people in the community. It truly is the hub of our community, and having that little downtown makes Placerville special. Now, there are also incredible events. We're going to talk about community later on in the video, but they shut down Main Street end to end from car traffic so you can walk on it for multiple festivals every summer. You're talking Wine Fest, Brew Fest, Oktoberfest with the Dachshund Dash, which is hilarious if you've never seen little wiener dogs racing down the road before. Multiple classic car shows every year, the Halloween parade, the Christmas tree, lighting, you name it, and they have a festival for it downtown, and it brings the whole community down into one place to interact and support our local merchants. And it's just an incredible part of living here in the historic small gold rush town. It's something I love about living here. It's something that hasn't changed from 2023 or 1848, if you will. It is just an incredible place to hang out and the hub of our community. If you haven't been to downtown Placerville, even if you don't move here, you owe it to yourself to come and check it out. All right about now you're wondering who I am and why you should be listening to me about Placerville, real estate, or anything at all really. And that's a fair question. My name is Rich Curtis with eXp Realty, and I've been selling homes here in the foothills for over 20 years now, in markets ranging from the Great Recession to the COVID market insanity and everything in between. So when it comes to foothills real estate, I've got you covered. But more than that, I live here. I've lived in the foothills for over 30 years. I've lived in Placerville, not far from downtown, for over 16 years. So when it comes to talking about living in Placerville, I know what I'm talking about. So let's get right back into the pros and cons of living in Placerville in 2025 so you can decide whether it's right for your family or not. Pro number 2 of living in Placerville is that it is the gateway to adventure. Now, look, it doesn't formally have that name on the sign, and since 2023, if you go back and watch that video, I've been promoting that it should have that name on the sign. It should say Placerville, the gateway to adventure, not Placerville, Old Hangtown, because that's really what it is today. The Folsom sign says it's the gateway to fun, and sure, it's right there at the base of the Sierra Nevada. It's a gateway to fun, but we are the gateway to adventure. If you like outdoor adventure sports, there is no better place to live in the state of California than right here in Placerville. We have world-class mountain biking on offer down in the Coloma and Lotus Valley. And if you go a little bit further over to the Auburn State Recreation Area, we actually have mountain biking trails that are on the professional mountain bike race circuit. We have some of the best whitewater in the country with the South Fork of the American River, with one put in right here in Placerville and another put in down in Coloma and Lotus, just 10 to 15 minutes north of here. The South Fork is the second most commercially rafted river in the country. And for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you know that for over 10 years of my life, I was that guy living in a van down by the river. I was a whitewater raft guide. I started my career here on the South Fork, and all of the great things in my life are because of that river. My wife, my children, all my best friends, and living right here in this amazing community. So fair to say I'm a little bit biased when it comes to the South Fork of the American River, but I think it's incredible. Now, what if you're not a whitewater enthusiast? There's still incredible hiking trails and places to just go splash and throw rocks in the river and hang out with your kids. It's great. Dave Moore Recreation Area is one of the best little hikes with your kids around here. It's about a mile round trip to get to the river and back, really easy and a beautiful place to go. Now, what if you're into other sports, skiing, snowboarding? Well, we're just 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the day, from our closest little ski resort, Sierra Tahoe, which is awesome, and a little over an hour to an hour and a half, depending on snow and traffic, to get to South Lake Tahoe and all the resorts you could want for skiing. Motorized boating, you've got Folsom Lake down the hill and Lake Tahoe up the hill, both of them within an hour or less. And also you've got Jenkinson Lake and Pollock Pines at just 20-25 minutes away. And all three of those places you can do all of your wakeboarding, water skiing, and all of that fun stuff, plus fishing. Now, fishing is another thing that is excellent up here. Are you a outdoor enthusiast for hunting and that sort of thing? That's a great sport that we have on offer too. 75% of the land in El Dorado County is protected public lands. So for outdoor recreation, you are spoiled for choice. I've lived here 30 years and I haven't explored all of it yet. Are you an off-road enthusiast? We've got the Rubicon Trail here in El Dorado County, not too far from Placerville, and a ton of other great spots for off-roading and overlanding. If you're into dirt bikes, we've got the Auburn State Recreation Area OHV Park over there that is incredible as well, and we've got Prairie City just down the hill in Folsom. No matter what your outdoor sport is, it's on offer here in the foothills, and there's no better place to live. So I think we should get the town to change their motto to Gateway to Adventure. If you're into that, let me know in the comments down below. Let's get something going here. It's been 2 years. They still haven't changed the sign. I'd love to see it happen. Hey, if you've made it this far and you're getting anything at all out of this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, and click that little bell icon so it'll notify you when I drop another video with crucial information to help you with your relocation. All right, now back to the pros and cons of living in Placerville in 2025. Pro number 3 of living in Placerville is affordable home prices. Now look, this hasn't changed since 2023. The home prices here are still wildly affordable compared to most of the major metro areas in the state of California. The market mechanics have changed quite a bit since that 2023 video, so we're gonna go into that in just a minute, but let's talk numbers. The median home price as the recording of this video in the summer of 2025 in the Placerville area is $520,000. So what do you get for your $520,000 there at the median? We're gonna get about a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 17 to 1,800 square foot home on around a quarter of an acre to an acre of land. In decent shape, but it will need a little bit of updating there at the median price. Now, that isn't far off. I bet if we go back and look at that 2023 video, we were probably around 515,000 median home prices back then, maybe 505. So we're not too far off when it comes to median home prices. Nothing really to get excited about there, but the market mechanics have changed. If you follow the channel and you watch any of our podcast episodes on the Informed Homebuyer podcast, you'll know that inventories are up. Inventories up over 60% in Placerville year over year. A couple of months it has been up 70% year over year. Last month alone, we're seeing a significant delisting trend where sellers are bringing their homes to market, and because they have a lot of equity and they have low interest rates locked in from pandemic era rates of 2.5% to 3.5%, if they don't get their price, they take their ball and go home and delist the property. In fact, we had 7 homes delisted for every home listed last month. So although the inventory has been on the rise, that delisting trend starts to pull some of that inventory back, and the market is kind of in stasis. We are off year over year in terms of home price, but the prices just aren't falling as fast as we would expect to see given the macroeconomic environment in the country as a whole. And that's because of these really funny once in a lifetime circumstances, like people having a tremendous amount of equity and a locked in low 2.5% to 3.5% rate that hey, if I don't have to sell or someone's not going to give me my price, I might as well just stay because I'm not going to have a better opportunity to borrow money at this rate in my lifetime. So those things are keeping the market in a little bit of a stuck position, a little bit of stasis right now in Placerville. So what does that mean? Well, it means if you're a seller, you're likely going to experience at least one price reduction during your listing cycle if you list in Placerville right now, with nearly 40% of listings last month seeing at least one price reduction or more. And it means you're going to have to get a little realistic about negotiating on price in a way you just didn't have to back in 2021 and the first half of 2022. Now, if you're a buyer, what does this mean? Well, it means we're back to a market where you might be able to offer at asking, or gosh, far be it for me to say below asking, which is something we haven't been able to do in years up here because of the extremely low inventory and highly competitive market. So as a buyer, it's becoming much more friendly territory where you can offer maybe under asking. You can ask for normal terms, normal time periods to do your inspections. You don't have to waive any rights right away with the contract. You don't have to agree to pay more than the appraised value, or all of that insanity that was going on during the COVID market. That's all rolling back, and it's a much more friendly environment for buyers now in Placerville. But from the 30,000 foot view, all the market mechanics aside, no matter whether it's 2021 or now, Placerville is always a relative bargain compared to the major metros in the state. You look at, San Francisco, median home price 1.4 to 1.7 million. LA, median home price 1.4 million. Placerville, median home price $520,000. You're talking about nearly a third of the price of the homes in these other areas, or in the case of San Francisco, depending on which part you're in, less than a third of the price of the homes there. So Placerville, as long as you can find employment, and we'll talk about that in another section, is a great bargain when it comes to homes. So a rural lifestyle and affordable home prices is a big pro of living here. Pro number 4 of living in Placerville is a slower pace of life. Now, look, this one seems a little hooey-wooey or funny maybe to some people, but this is real. I grew up in the Bay Area. I started my working life working in San Francisco. I've lived in places that are high pressure, high pace. People make a lot of money. They have a lot of status symbols, and there's a constant pressure to keep up with the Joneses and go, go, go. When the median price of a home is 1.4 to 1.7 million, you better be hustling to earn money if you want to just achieve the basics of the American dream, which is a roof over your head and a car in the driveway. So there's a lot more pressure in other places to work hard, make a lot of money, and go, go, go. That just isn't the case here in Placerville. We are a small rural community. Like I said in the opener for the video, in the 5.28 square miles that is the city of Placerville, we only have 11,600 people. And in the whole 95667 zip code, which is around 170 square miles, we only have 36,000 people, which is still a relatively small place to live. People are here for the woods, they're here for the nature, they're here for a slower pace of life. It's the kind of place where you bump into somebody and you just go have a coffee, or you get stuck having a conversation at the grocery store or the hardware store. It's the kind of place where people aren't really measuring success by your possessions. It's a small community with people who love where they live, and it's just slower and less pressure to live here, and that is something that I particularly love. I think all of us in this day and age could use a little less pressure, a little more time to slow down and focus on the things that we love most, like our family and our free time and our passions. And that is the type of community here. It's not just a type of community where you can do it, it's a type of community where everybody else is doing it too. So there is support for you to live that kind of lifestyle here. You can't put a price tag on this one. If this is what you've been looking for, Placerville just might be the place for you. All right, we're on to pro number 5 and the last pro on our list, although I could keep going forever. As you can tell, I love where I live. In fact, for the 100th video on my channel, you can go way back and look at that one. I did 100 things I love about living in Placerville in the foothills, but don't worry, for this video, I'm just gonna give you these 5. And this last one is a strong sense of community. Look, all of us want to belong. We want to have a community. Well, maybe not all of us. Maybe you're a curmudgeon who doesn't like people, and that's okay. But I think a lot of us long for the type of place place where we know our neighbors' names and we talk to each other and we help each other out the way it used to be and used to feel in small American towns. And that is still alive and well here in Placerville. Everybody knows each other. Everybody looks out for each other. When my kids were tiny, they were like little celebrities down on Main Street, Placerville. All the store owners who have known us for the last 30 years of living here or longer, for my wife who grew up here, they knew our kids, knew them by name. They'd invite them into the stores, show them the cool new things on the shelves, pepper them with candy and stickers and all kinds of things as we'd walk up and down Main Street. And I know that everybody is looking out for those little guys, for my kids. All these people know them by name. There's not just my eyeballs on my kids for safety. There's the entire community's eyeballs on my kids for safety. It's just that kind of town. So if you've been looking for a place where you know your neighbors by name and you feel like a part of the community, then Placerville absolutely might be the town for you. Now, one caveat on this one. It doesn't feel that way immediately when you first move here. I moved around a lot when I was younger, and I have found that it takes 2 to 3 years when I move to a new place to really integrate myself into that community and feel like I have people to reach out to and I have that bigger group of friends and strong community feel. So when you first move here to the foothills, especially because it's rural and far-flung, it can actually feel a little isolating at first. So you do have to do the work, join some clubs, find your people, get involved when you first get here so you can get a leg into the community and start to make those connections. But once you're in for life. Okay, you can probably tell by the prose and the exuberance with which I talk about Placerville that I love this town and I love where I live. But look, no place is perfect. Every town has its cons, its downsides, and its aspects that won't work for everyone. Every place isn't for everyone, and that's okay. So it's time to talk about the cons so you can make sure there's not a deal breaker on this list that makes Placerville not the right place for your family. So to that end, let's get on with the cons. Con number one is heat. And I talk about this in all of my videos, not just about Placerville. When I talk about Sacramento or all the surrounding towns around there in the suburbs, I talk about heat because I think it is a lot hotter here than most people expect. Now, Placerville, downtown Placerville, of course, you know, the altitude varies depending on where you are, but downtown Placerville is at about 2,000 feet above sea level. It's a little mountain town. I think people think, oh, 2,000 feet up in the mountains, it's gonna be cool. But it just isn't that way. We have that amazing river, like I talked about, but that river points right down to the west to Sacramento, and it kind of acts like a funnel, and hot air rises. So in the afternoons, all that hot air kind of funnels into those river canyons and rises right up here to Placerville, so it can be quite hot in the summers. And unlike Sacramento, we don't have those delta breezes, so it doesn't really cool off at night. So oftentimes at night, my home in Placerville will be hotter than it is in downtown Sacramento in the summertime. Now this summer is an anomaly. This has been the most moderate, temperate, cool, amazing summer. We've been sleeping with the windows open for almost the entire summer. So this summer's been great, but it's not always like that. So what can you expect? It's gotten hotter and hotter, of course, over the years as the climate has shifted. So when I first moved up here, you'd expect a week of triple digits, and then it got to about 2 weeks of triple digits. Well, now you can expect 3 weeks of the summer of triple digit temperatures in the Placerville area. Now, thankfully, they're not all right in a row. They're gonna be spread out 1 week here, 1 week there. And one of them is always gonna be in the fall, surprisingly, when you think it really should be cooling off in late September, early October, bam, you're gonna get another triple digit week right when all the kids are out playing soccer. It could be a little rough. But those 3 weeks, you're gonna have triple digit temperatures. The rest of the summers, it's still gonna be 80 to 90 degrees outside. So it is definitely the kind of place that has hot, dry summers. And if you don't like hot, dry summers, then Placerville definitely isn't gonna be for you. It's the kind of place where if you're gonna go do those outdoor recreation sports in the summer and they're not water-based, you're gonna get up early and go do them early in the morning, or you're gonna go up in elevation to Pollock Pines. Check out my Pollock Pines videos, pros and cons of Pollock Pines, why Pollock Pines is better than Tahoe. Those videos will go through why it's 10 degrees cooler in Pollock Pines and a great place to recreate in the summer. So we spend a lot of time up there. We also just spend a lot of time doing water-based recreation, whitewater rafting, paddleboarding, just swimming and playing in the lake, in the river with the kids. So if you like outdoor recreation in the water, then the heat might not be that big of a deal for you. But it's something you need to know before moving here. It's hotter than you think, and if you hate hot, dry summers, then it's not for you. Con number two is traffic. Now that might sound a little funny because I told you it's a small rural town, not a lot of people living here. So really traffic isn't a big part of our daily life, but we have two issues with traffic: tourist traffic and not one, not two, but 3 stoplights in the middle of the highway. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's talk about tourist traffic. In the winter, we have skiing going on and snowboarding up in Tahoe, and Highway 50 is one of the major thoroughfares going from the Bay Area to Tahoe for skiing. You got 50 going this way and 80 going this way, whether you're gonna go to South Lake Tahoe or up to the Truckee Donner area to go skiing. But if you're going to South Lake Tahoe, you're coming through Placerville. So on a Friday night during the ski season, you can get a lot of traffic coming through Placerville. And on a Sunday afternoon heading home, same thing. Now in the summertime, we have Lake Tahoe and all the boating and fun and backpacking and mountain biking and rock climbing and everything that's incredible in the Tahoe Basin. So the same thing applies on Friday nights. You can get a fair bit of traffic, and on Sunday afternoons with everybody trying to get home, you can get a fair bit of traffic on Highway 50. Here's what exacerbates that. Not one, not two, but like I said, 3 stoplights smack in the middle of the freeway. Now that might seem a little funny. People don't usually put stoplights in the middle of the freeway, but it is for a very good reason. Earlier, I told you the number one thing that is a pro about living in Placerville is downtown Placerville. And in order to make downtown Placerville not dry up and go away, they left the stoplights in the highway. So those of you who are old enough to remember or have heard the stories, you know when they built Route 66 through the desert southwest of the country, they bypassed a lot of these little old desert towns that had all the restaurants and hotels and service stations that helped people get what they needed as they drove across the country. Now people were blazing by those places on the highway. That was the basis for the movie Cars. If your kids love that movie, that is all really true. That happened in the desert southwest. And so Placerville took that as a cautionary tale and said, nah, we're leaving our stoplights in there. So people stop and they take a look to the right and decide, you know what, I want to go grab a burger. I want to go buy some boots or ski pants that I forgot. I need to hit the gas station. I want to go buy some food or some water before we get to Tahoe, whatever it is. People stop, they come through downtown, and our downtown still has a vibrant and thriving retail sales community down there because we have those stoplights. So this is a controversial opinion in town. People argue over this all the time. I am pro stoplights because I love downtown. Now they do experiment on peak traffic weekends with putting all the lights to green and letting people blaze through for just a couple of hours to alleviate the traffic. That is something they've been experimenting with, and that will help this a little bit. But either way, if you move to Placerville, you're gonna learn real quick the couple of local sneak routes to get you around the 3 stoplights in the freeway, to get you around all of the tourist traffic for skiing, for water sports, and enjoying Tahoe in the summer, and for the Apple Hill Festival in the fall. So is traffic a big deal and a huge part of your life in Placerville? No, not necessarily, but it is a big deal at certain times, and it's something you should know before moving here. Look, if by the end of this video you still aren't sure if Placerville is right for you, or you're considering other towns in the foothills and you're not sure where to land, you want some personal advice on your situation, feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. Like I said, I've been selling homes for over 20 years now, and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land in Dorado County, and I'm always happy to help. All right, let's jump right back into our list of pros and cons of living in Placerville in 2025. Con number 3 is a limited local job market. Now, look, this one's a little bit silly to some degree. It's a little bit like, criticizing a Porsche 911 for not having a bigger back seat for the kids, right? You're asking it to do something it just wasn't meant to do. We're a small rural town, and as such, there is not going to be a massive, diverse and robust job market. That just is what it is. It comes with small town life. However, Placerville does do pretty well in the jobs department because of a couple of reasons. So while there is a limited job market, and it is not the kind of town where I recommend moving in and just looking for a job, you should really have a job lined up before moving to a town like this, unless you're comfortable commuting out of town, which a lot of people do. There are a few industries here in town that do provide a lot of jobs. So number 1, we are the county seat of Dorado County. So we have the county offices and all of the county jobs. That employs a lot of people here in Placerville. We also have an excellent hospital, Marshall Hospital, and then all the other little surgery suites and test suites and everything else that, build up around a hospital and doctor's offices. So if you're in the medical field, there's actually a fair bit of work here. We have a great school system and a pretty wide-ranging school system with a lot of schools up here. So if you work in education, there's a fair few jobs up here. Also, we have a thriving entrepreneur community, which is something I have always loved about living here in the foothills. Now, this is everything from your everyday entrepreneurs, people like me who are realtors or run an auto shop, that sort of thing, to your digital nomad entrepreneurs, and even something a lot of people don't know about El Dorado County is we have a lot of people who work in the film business here. El Dorado County is so gorgeous. Like I said, we got 75% of the county land is protected open space, and it's gorgeous. Things like gems like South Lake Tahoe that people come from all over the world to see, all the way down to the Coloma Lotus Valley with the beautiful rivers. We have a ton of Hollywood movies that have been shot here over the years and will be shot here moving forward. It is a frequent location used by location scouts for movies and TV shows. As such, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that work in the film industry, lighting techs, editors, sound techs, and that sort of thing that live out here in the foothills and do their digital nomad stuff, working for Hollywood and work on the shoots when they do come to town, which is a really neat part of living here. So no matter how you slice it though, it is not Sacramento. It is not, Sacramento has one of the broadest and most diverse job markets in the state. It's not that, but you can get there in about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on where you need. So if you don't work at county jobs, if you don't work in healthcare or education, and you're not an entrepreneur, you're probably commuting down the hill, and you're probably biting off a 45-minute to an hour commute to get to your job, and that's something you should know before moving here. Like I said, the big takeaway is it's not like moving to a big city where you can reasonably move in and just start looking for a job. It's a harder place to do that. You should try to line up a job before you decide to move here. All right, we're getting deep into the list now. We're at con number 4, and this one is the cost of fire insurance. Now look, I am tired of talking about this. I hate talking about this. I have to talk about this in every video I make about any of our communities up here or anywhere really in the state of California, because this is a big deal. And it's not just a Placerville thing. This is all over the state. As I sit here, we're only maybe 6 months out from the devastating LA fires. Fire insurance is going to be a big deal down there too. So what does that mean? This is too big of a subject to go over in this video in depth, but I'll give you the 30,000 foot view quick primer on it. If you want more, check out my Informed Homebuyer podcast playlist, and there's a bunch of deep dive videos in there on this. But in general, for the most part, up here in the greater Placerville area, you're gonna end up having to go onto the California Fair Plan insurance. Quick note about that, that is not an insurance company. It is not a state-sponsored insurance program. It's a collective of all the insurance companies that work here in the state that pool money to provide policies to people that don't fit within traditional insurance guidelines. If you work in the state of California as an insurer, you got to contribute to this fund based on your market share. So it is not a state-sponsored thing. You are not getting insurance from the state of California. There's a lot of confusion about that. It also only covers your house for burning down from wildfire, and that's it. If you start a fire in the kitchen and burn the place down, your Fair Plan policy doesn't cover it. So you always get two policies, a combined policy, your Fair Plan policy, and your DIC policy. That DIC policy might be from a more traditional carrier, although these days it's even hard to get those from traditional carriers up here. So in terms of dollars and cents, what does this look like? It looks like most likely $6,000 minimum annual premiums on your fire insurance. Now it can very quickly get up to $8,000 to $10,000 if the house is a little bigger or in a little worse fire area or that sort of thing. If you have a big house, you're 4,000 square foot, over $1 million, real fancy fit and finish to the place, you can be over $20,000 on your annual fire insurance premiums. But the minimum is about that $6,000 mark. Now, where this comes into play is if you're working with an out-of-town lender who doesn't know this sort of thing, or you're playing with online loan calculators and you're figuring in $80, $120 on your hazard insurance for your loan payment. Now, most people impound their money for their taxes and insurance, meaning they put it in an account and their lender pays it for them, which means it's lumped into their mortgage payment. So the cost of your insurance increases the cost of your monthly mortgage payment. And if you're calculating that with an out-of-town lender or yourself online and you don't know that you should really be factoring in $6,000, not $1,300 a year for your insurance, this can really blow your hair back when you get your actual payment when you're looking to buy a house up here. So it's really important to use accurate numbers. If you're having trouble with this, reach out to me. I can help you with that. But the bottom line is, no matter where you go in the greater Placerville area, insurance is going to be $6,000 or more, most likely. It's going to be Fair Plan, most likely. You're going to have those two policies, most likely, and it means the cost of mortgage payments are more expensive here in the foothills than they would be in a similar suburban or urban community. Con number 5, and the last con on our list, is limited big box retail. Look, like I said, we are a small mountain town, so you wouldn't expect us to have huge outlet malls and that sort of stuff, and we don't. That being said though, Placerville actually does a pretty good job of having everything you need for your daily stuff. We have multiple grocery stores, we have Rayleigh's, we have Safeway, we have a Walmart, which is big box retail. A few years back, we got a Target, which is also big box retail. But if you need anything bigger, more extensive than that, you're gonna be going down to Folsom, to the Palladio, or to the outlet malls, or even further down to Sacramento. Now this is changing, and it's changing more and more every year. And it's an indication that some of these major corporations see a lot of growth coming down the line for Placerville. For instance, in the last year or so, we just got a Dutch Brothers coffee shop. We also got an America's Tire location down on Missouri Flat. So these are things that indicate that some of these big box retail stores think there is a good case to be made for investing in Placerville. So I suspect in my next pros and cons of living in Placerville update video, there'll be even more big box retail to report. Now, that is a pro or a con depending on who you are. I like our little foothills town. I like that it's not a bunch of big strip malls. I like our downtown and our downtown merchants and really support those people in their businesses anytime I can. So I don't want a bunch of big box retail to come in and put all of that out of business. But as long as Placerville maintains their downtown and our downtown merchants still have a thriving business, then go ahead and bring in other businesses that make life easier and keep me from having to drive down the hill. I'm fine with that. But if you're the type of person that shops every day at all of the big box retail stores near you, and you're used to just going and hitting this strip mall, and this strip mall, and within 10 minutes you can get everything you need for a whole month for your family, that's not going to happen here in Placerville. For our family, we need a lot of food. We've got growing kids. We go to Costco all the time, which is a 25, 30-minute drive to Folsom to get to Costco to load up on all of our stuff. So that isn't something that's on offer here in Placerville. If that's something that's important to you in your daily life, then Placerville might not be the right place for you. On the other hand, if you like having coffee at a little mom and pop local coffee shop, sitting in a great used bookstore and reading a book, shopping at the oldest hardware store west of the Mississippi, or strolling through antique shops with incredible finds from all generations, then Placerville might just be the best place for you. All right, I told you there'd be 5 pros, 5 cons, and 1 maybe. We have arrived at the maybe, and that is everywhere you go, there'll be somebody you know. This is small town living, and once you've been here for a while, everybody knows you. So you can't sneak out to the grocery store and not bump into somebody and have a conversation. You can't run over to the hardware store and get in and out in 2 minutes. Now, if you're somebody like me who's a little curmudgeonly by nature, this can be a little irritating at times. I hate shopping. I like to treat it like a military insurgents. Get in, get out, and hope nobody sees you or knows what you just did. I hate being in the store. I don't want to be in there any longer than I have to, and I don't want to have to chit chat with 5 people as I go through. But that's just not possible here in town. If I go out to the stores, I'm gonna bump into people I know, and I'm gonna end up chit-chatting with people. Now, for somebody like my wife, who's more of a social butterfly, who grew up here, who volunteers for every civic organization in the county and knows everybody, she loves it. She bumps into people all over the place and has great conversations. So this is gonna come down to the type of person that you are. If you are that person that loves chit-chatting with everybody and wants small town rural life, then this is gonna be a pro for you. If you're a little curmudgeonly like me, then this one might be a little bit of a con for you. You'll have to decide, but either way, it's something you should know before moving to a small town like Placerville. All right, that wraps up our updated list of the pros and cons of living in Placerville, California for 2025. And I hope this has helped you decide whether Placerville is right for your family or not. Now, if you'd like to do a little bit of a deeper dive, you can click this video on the cost of living in Placerville. If you'd like to see what's changed, you can click this video, the older version from 2023 of the pros and cons of living in Placerville. If you'd like to see Placerville pitted in a head-to-head battle against many of our other foothills towns to see if one of them might fit your family better, then click our town versus town playlist down here. And if you're concerned about things like fire insurance, mortgages, and that sort of thing, you want a deeper dive on some of those subjects, you can click our Informed Homebuyer podcast playlist right down here. Either way, thanks for watching, thanks for making it to the end with me, and I'll see you on the next one.